The Legend of Jigong, Chapter 50.
It's a sequence that perfectly blends supernatural mystery, bumbling detectives, ridiculously strict social etiquette, and a legitimate life-or-death stakeout.
It's got a bit of everything.
It really does. We are going to extract the character dynamics and see exactly how an ancient tale balances laugh-out-loud comedy with genuine, cold-blooded tension.
It really is a masterpiece of tonal shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And to fully appreciate what the author is doing here, we need to set the stage properly for you.
Walk us through it.
Well, we're dropping right into the middle of a covert operation in the dead of night. Our commander, the one giving those bizarre keyhole instructions, is Jigong.
And in this specific operation, he isn't alone, right? He's accompanied by an undercover government official named Prefect Zhao and 4 seasoned police constables.
Right, a 5-man squad.
Yeah, they are standing in the dark outside a large, imposing gate on the east side of Rui Alley. And they aren't looking for, like, a petty pickpocket. They're hunting dangerous, highly skilled thieves who stole priceless artifacts from the Prime Minister's residence.
And that is a crucial detail for establishing the stakes. This isn't just a local matter.
No, it's huge.
They are tracking individuals involved in a major heist, specifically a jade bracelet and a phoenix crown stolen from the absolute highest levels of the imperial government.
So the political pressure on Prefect Zhao to resolve this case would be crushing.
Oh, immense. The stakes, both politically and physically, could not be higher. So Jigong brings this squad to the gate at Rui Alley.
Right. And here's where we get into the tactical setup. Jigong splits his 4 constables up.
Okay.
He tells 2 of them, Chai and Du, to stand to the north of the crack in the main double doors. He tells the other 2, Lei and Ma, to stand to the south of the door crack.
So far, if you're visualizing this, it sounds like a pretty standard perimeter.
Yeah, they are flanking the entrance.
It sounds like a standard tactical deployment.
Yeah.
You secure the choke point.
Yeah.
You prepare for the target to emerge.
Right. But then he gives the order. He tells these 4 hardened, weapon-carrying constables that they need to blow air through the crack in the door to, and I quote from the text, blow the thief out.
Just blow him out.
Yeah. Now, earlier we talked about modern SWAT teams. To me, this instruction is like, I don't know, hiring a top-tier cybersecurity firm to fix a massive ransomware attack on your company's servers. And their highly technical solution is to literally bring a Catholic priest into the server room to perform an exorcism on the router, while the IT guys are just told to blow dust off their keyboards.
That's a great image.
I mean, it's not just absurd, it's a complete misapplication of the tools at hand.
That is a much more accurate analogy because it highlights the friction between 2 completely different systems of logic here.
How so?
Well, you have the mundane procedural logic of the constables on one hand and the esoteric mystical logic of the monk on the other.
Right.
What's fascinating here is how the text uses this specific moment to establish the power dynamics and the profound skepticism that surrounds Jigong.
Skepticism from his own team.
Yeah, exactly. See, in Taoist and esoteric Buddhist traditions, breath, or qi, is the fundamental energy of the universe. Blowing air isn't just expelling carbon dioxide.
Okay.
For a realized master, it is projecting intent and force. Jigong operates on a cosmological level where a single breath can move mountains.
But the cops don't operate on that level.
Exactly. And the text explicitly tells us they, quote, didn't dare not to believe, but could only follow the monk's instructions.
But they don't actually do it, do they?
No, they don't. They don't form a seal with their lips and try to blow a literal human being out of a massive compound.
No, they completely ignore the mystical mechanics. They just revert to their training. They start slamming their hands on the thick wooden doors and yelling, "Open the door! Open the door!"
They resort immediately to mundane human protocol, banging on the door.
Yeah.
It demonstrates that despite Jigong's formidable reputation, his subordinates view his methods with a heavy dose of practical skepticism.
I mean, you can't blame them.
Not at all. These are working-class cops. They know how to bust down a door. They know how to apply physical leverage. They know how to intimidate. They do not know how to magically blow a thief out of a courtyard.
Right. But the true genius of this opening scene is what happens inside the house while this incredibly unmystical banging is going on.
Oh, absolutely. This is brilliant.
It is easily my favorite part of the setup. We get a perspective shift. So outside, we have this failed magical expectation turning into just loud, annoying, highly visible police knocking.
Yeah.
But inside the gatehouse, there are 2 servants who are just trying to sleep. They hear the banging.
Poor guys.
One of them, who the narrative makes sure to point out is notoriously cowardly, gets up. He lights a white candle and creeps over to the massive front doors.
Okay.
Goes to peek through the crack between the double doors to see who is making all this noise.
And we have to remember the timing of events here.
Right.
The constables outside were instructed by a legendary magical monk to blow into the crack.
Yeah.
Even though they ultimately resorted to knocking, the text leaves a wonderful ambiguity.
Ambiguity, how so?
Well, the implication is that something mystical was set in motion by Jigong's presence.
Hmm.
Or, perhaps one of the constables did try blowing for a split second before feeling ridiculous and giving up.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because when that cowardly servant puts his eye to the crack,
He gets hit right in the face with a sudden gust of freezing cold wind that instantly snuffs out his candle.
right,
He is terrified. He stumbles back into the gatehouse in the pitch dark, and his buddy asks him what's going on out there. And the servant delivers this incredibly evocative, terrified description. He doesn't say it's the cops.
no, his mind leaps to the worst possible conclusion. The original language here is brilliant.
What does he say?
He describes what's outside as pitch black, hairy and chaotic, a ghost blowing wind.
A ghost blowing wind.
Yeah. In the original text, the phrase is Hei gu long dong, mao mao hong long gi chui feng. It is a perfectly rhythmic, almost onomatopoeic description of total sensory panic.
That's amazing.
The kind of vivid, earthy language that defines vernacular Chinese fiction.
Pitch black, hairy, and chaotic. I love the tactile nature of that fear. It's not just dark, it's, hairy.
Yeah.
It feels alive and wrong. His mind, primed by the darkness, the sudden draft, and his own cowardly nature, immediately constructs a supernatural horror story. It's a ghost blowing wind.
This sequence is just a masterclass in dramatic irony and tonal contrast. Let's break down the layers.
Let's do it.
On the outside of the door, we have a magical expectation set by Jigong, blowing the thief out, that is abandoned by skeptical humans and turns into mundane, noisy police work.
Right.
On the inside of the door, we have a mundane physical reality. A simple draft of air whistling through a tight space, maybe pushed by the constables, maybe just the night wind, that is interpreted by a terrified human as dark magic.
It's like a mirror reflecting the wrong image on both sides.
Precisely. And the humor here is structural. What's fascinating here is how it diffuses the tension.
Yeah, it really does.
We are dealing with stolen prime ministerial artifacts and deadly thieves, but the opening beat is basically a slapstick comedy routine based on a misunderstanding of physics and magic.
It totally disarms you. You're laughing at these bumbling cops who won't follow directions and these terrified servants who are scared of the wind, and you completely forget that there is a lethal assassin somewhere in the mix. But the comedy is abruptly cut short. The noise finally wakes up the actual master of the house, and he comes out to the courtyard to see what this chaos is about.
Yes, the true master of the estate emerges. This is Yang Zetian. And his introduction completely shifts the genre of the scene from slapstick to a rigid, tense social drama.
Who is this guy?
Well, Yang is not just a wealthy homeowner. He is a former official. Specifically, he was the prefect of Chengdu, which is a highly prestigious, powerful administrative role.
Oh, wow.
He is currently at home observing something called Dingyu.
Okay, let's pause there because I think a lot of people might not grasp how intense Dingyu actually is. It's not just taking a few days of bereavement leave, right?
But not at all. Dingyu is the strict mandatory mourning period for a deceased parent, rooted deeply in Confucian filial piety.
Okay.
For an imperial official, when your mother or father dies, you are legally required to immediately resign from your post, no matter how high-ranking you are, and return to your ancestral home.
Wait, you just quit your job?
You resign completely. You must observe a mourning period that lasts nominally for 3 years, though in practice it was usually 27 months.
3 years of mourning.
Yes. During this time, you cannot wear silk, you cannot attend banquets, you cannot listen to music, and you are expected to live a life of extreme asceticism and ritual purity.
So Yang Zetian is a man who is currently living his entire life according to the absolute strictest, most unyielding set of traditional rules possible.
Exactly. He is the very embodiment of orthodox procedure.
Okay, so the heavy wooden doors finally open, the constables are standing there. Jigong is literally crouching in the shadows, hiding from view.
Typical Jigong.
Yeah. And Zhao Fengshen, Prefect Zhao, the undercover official leading the police squad, steps forward into the lantern light. He sees Yang Zetian. They recognize each other instantly.
Right.
They are old classmates. They passed the brutal imperial examinations together. They are peers. Zhao says, "Brother, you aren't asleep yet."
And Yang Zetian's response is just freezing cold.
Yeah, he scoffs at him and says, "What kind of person dares to call me brother?"
Which is an incredibly insulting dismissal. It's a complete denial of their shared history and status.
Brutal.
But Zhao pushes through, trying to be friendly. He says, "It's me, Zhao Fengshen. Don't you recognize your little brother?"
And this is where the clash of status just explodes. Yang recognizes him, but he is absolutely appalled. And he's appalled for a reason that might seem incredibly strange to a modern listener.
Very strange.
This blew my mind. I genuinely had to read this section twice because I was so baffled. Let's paint the picture again.
Okay.
It is the middle of the night. There has been a loud, aggressive commotion at his front gate. Armed men are demanding entry to his private compound.
Right.
And Yang Zaishin's first reaction isn't, "Are we under attack?" It isn't, "Is my family safe?" His first reaction is, "Why are you violating the imperial dress code?"
It is the ultimate bureaucratic priority.
He literally chides Zhao. Because Zhao is wearing plain clothes, a blue robe, a square hat, a silk sash. He's undercover doing detective work.
Yeah, he's on a stakeout.
But Yang calls this outfit self-degrading. He says, "You are a dignified prefect. How can you dress like this? You've lost your official dignity."
And then he threatens him.
Yes. He says if the government censors, the internal affairs watchdogs of the empire find out about this outfit, Zhao will be impeached and ruined.
It seems so petty to a modern sensibility, but we have to understand the worldview here. In the traditional Confucian framework, clothing is not just functional, and it's not just fashion.
What is it then?
Clothing is the literal manifestation of the cosmic and social order. Sumptuary laws dictated exactly what colors, fabrics, and embroideries a person could wear based on their rank.
So by dressing down, Zhao isn't just being informal.
No, by dressing down as a commoner or a lower-level yamen runner, Zhao is committing a violation of the hierarchy that structures reality itself.
Wow.
Yang Zaishin represents the absolute apex of this orthodoxy. In his worldview, the universe is ordered by ritual and propriety, what the Chinese call li dai.
Lay.
If officials stop acting and dressing like officials, the boundaries of society dissolve. It is an offense against reality.
So wait, walk me through that. You're saying Yang is more threatened by Zhao's blue robe than by the armed men behind him.
Essentially, yes.
I mean, it's like a CEO showing up to a hostile corporate takeover wearing sweatpants and a backwards cap, and the board of directors is more upset about the sweatpants than the fact that the company is being dismantled.
That's a really great way to look at it. Because to the board of directors, in your analogy, the suit represents the authority that makes the company function.
Right.
To Yang, the official robes represent the authority that keeps chaos at bay. By wearing a square hat, Zhao is inviting chaos into the world.
And it forces Zhao to immediately go on the defensive. He has to quickly explain why he's dressed this way, which helpfully provides the exposition for our plot.
Conveniently.
Zhao explains the robbery at the prime minister's residence, the capture of a thief named Lu Chang by Jigong, and the subsequent confession that the actual master thieves they are tracking, Hua Yunlong and Wang Tong, are on the loose.
So he's laying it all out.
Yeah, Zhao explains that he is doing the gritty, undercover street work to catch them. He's being pragmatic.
He is arguing for flexibility in the face of an emergency. He is essentially saying, the rules of decorum are secondary to catching enemies of the state.
And as he explains all this, he name drops Jigong. He says, Jigong caught the first guy, so I'm following Jigong's lead tonight. And Yang's reaction to the name Jigong is just so telling. It defines his entire character.
It is the defining skeptical stance of the Orthodox scholar. Yang sighs, deeply disappointed, and essentially calls Zhao a fool.
Yeah.
Says, you and I are educated men. How can you believe in this weird forces and unruly gods nonsense? He explicitly dismisses Jigong's methods as demonic words to deceive the public.
Weird forces and unruly gods. That phrase feels so heavy. It doesn't sound like a casual insult.
It isn't. It is a direct, foundational quotation. It comes from the Analects of Confucius.
Oh, wow.
The original text states that the master, Confucius, did not speak of extraordinary things, feats of strength, disorder, and spiritual beings. Those are the weird forces and unruly gods, Guai Li Luan Shen.
Got it.
By using that exact, highly educated phrasing, Yang is planting his flag. He is saying, I am a rational, educated Orthodox man who follows the classical teachings. You, Zhao, have abandoned reason and abandoned our shared education by following a magical, rule-breaking monk.
And this sets up the perfect narrative stakes for the rest of the night. We aren't just trying to catch a thief anymore. That's almost secondary.
Yep.
Jigong, who has been quietly crouching in the shadows listening to this entire debate, now has to prove his legitimacy to a hardcore textbook skeptic. He has to prove that his demonic words are actually divine truth.
He has to prove that magic is real to a man whose entire worldview is built on denying it.
Exactly. And how does Jigong introduce himself to this incredibly rigid, proper host? He stands up from the shadows, dusts himself off, and essentially invites himself inside to hang out.
He doesn't apologize for the intrusion. He just says, let's go rest and sit at his place before we leave.
The nerve.
It is a complete disregard for the immense social friction that just occurred. Zhao, who is stuck playing the awkward middleman between his orthodox friend and his chaotic spiritual guide, tries to smooth things over.
Zhao.
He agrees to go in and tells his constables to wait in the gatehouse.
Yeah.
Yang, trapped by the rules of hospitality that he holds so dear, cannot refuse a guest brought by his peer. He is forced to say, please come in.
This leads us into what has to be the most awkward dinner party in literary history. They walk into the main courtyard and they head into the north room. The architectural layout of the room is actually really important here, isn't it?
Absolutely. Traditional Chinese courtyard homes, or Siyuan, are built on strict north-south axis. The north-facing main room is the absolute power center of the home. It is the most prestigious room, reserved exclusively for the head of the household or the most honored, high-ranking guests. It is a physical manifestation of hierarchy.
Right. And Jigong, this barefoot, eccentric, dirty monk who has literally just invited himself in, immediately bypasses the guest seating, walks to the absolute best seat in the room, the head seat facing south, and just plops himself down.
It's an aggressive usurpation of space.
Ah,
And Yang is silently furious.
so mad.
The text gives us access to Yang's internal monologue here. He looks at this dirty monk in the seat of honor and thinks to himself, quoting classical texts again, "From the Son of Heaven down to the common people, all must consider the cultivation of the person the root of everything."
Okay.
He looks at Jigong and thinks, this guy doesn't even care about his own physical body, let alone moral self-cultivation. He's an animal.
But he doesn't say it out loud.
No, because he is bound by his strict rules of decorum. Yang cannot verbally reprimand a guest in his own home without violating his own code of conduct. He has to swallow his anger. It creates this pressure cooker of passive aggression.
So you have Yang fuming silently, projecting intense hostility. You have Zhao, the mortified middleman, trying to have a serious, hushed bureaucratic conversation with Yang about the captured thieves to normalize the situation.
And then you have Jigong.
And then you have Jigong. While Yang and Zhao were talking about imperial interrogations and stolen government property, Jigong just starts yelling.
Serve the wine.
Yes, serve the wine, Baiju. And Yang completely ignores him. He pretends he didn't hear it, maintains eye contact with Zhao, and asks another serious question about the case.
Then Jigong just says it again.
Serve the wine. The text says Jigong repeats this exact demand over 10 times. Over 10 times.
It's unbelievable.
I want you to imagine being at a tense late-night business dinner. The CEO and the chief legal officer are discussing an active existential legal crisis, and the weird guy they brought with them just keeps screaming, "Bring me a beer!" every 15 seconds while staring at the ceiling.
It is brilliant comedic escalation. But it's also a profound power move.
A power move.
Yes, Jigong is deliberately breaking down Yang's rigid social structure. Yang wants to maintain the illusion of a proper high-status conversation. He wants to maintain Li.
Okay, I see.
And Jigong's primal, repetitive, unignorable demand for alcohol makes that illusion impossible. He is forcing Yang to acknowledge the chaos.
Finally, the tension breaks. But it isn't Yang who cracks, it's Zhao.
Zhao can't take it anymore.
Zhao is so embarrassed and exhausted by the awkwardness that he finally stops the conversation, turns to Yang and says, "Brother, I'm actually really hungry too. Do you have anything to eat?"
He throws himself under the bus to save the situation.
He does. And Yang, because Zhao is his respected friend and peer, instantly complies.
But notice how Yang complies. Yang says, "Oh, I heard the monk earlier, but my food isn't good enough to offer. But since you are hungry, little brother, I will prepare it." It's a masterclass in passive aggression. He orders the food and wine, but makes sure every single person in the room knows he's only doing it for Zhao. He is still attempting to ice Jigong out of the social contract.
So the servants bring out the food and wine, and Jigong doesn't even wait for a formal toast, which I assume is another massive faux pas.
Oh, absolutely.
He just grabs the pitcher, starts pouring it down his throat, and says to Yang, "We're like old friends. Don't be so formal." He is entirely immune to Yang's hostility. He's bulletproof.
He really is.
But Yang isn't done. He decides he's going to expose this fraud once and for all. He decides to test the monk's supposed omniscience with a trap.
This is the turning point of the scene in the North Room, the skeptic's test.
Okay, walk me through the test.
Yang looks at Jigong and says, "Monk, since you claim to know the past and the future, I have a request. I have completely forgotten my own birthday. I don't remember the year or the month. I want you to calculate it for me."
It's a brilliant trap. If Jigong is just a street magician relying on cold reading or vague generalizations, guessing a specific forgotten birth date of a high-ranking official is mathematically nearly impossible.
Right. It requires highly specific data.
But Jigong doesn't even blink. He puts down his wine, looks at him, and instantly shoots back. "That's easy. You were born in this specific year, this specific month, and you are exactly 58 years old today."
And Yang is stunned into silence. The text simply tells us Yang Zacian heard this, and it was absolutely correct.
Wow.
The skeptic's armor cracks. The man who just quoted Confucius to dismiss weird forces is suddenly confronted with impossible, verifiable knowledge.
He can't deny it.
But instead of backing down or showing reverence, human nature takes over. He wants more. He wants to peer behind the veil.
Right. He gets greedy for the magic. He leans in and says, "Okay, monk, since you got that right, read my face, tell me my fortune. When will things go well for me?"
And he adds that crucial caveat.
Yes, he says, "Don't be angry if I ask for the harsh truth. A gentleman asks about disasters, not just blessings. Tell me the real truth."
He asks for the truth, and Jigong delivers a prophecy that completely shatters the comfortable, aristocratic atmosphere of the room. It leverages the ancient Chinese practice of physiognomy.
Face reading, right?
Exactly, face reading, which posited that one's fate, health, and moral character were mapped onto the physical features of the face.
So Jigong laughs. He looks right at Yang's face and says, "Your complexion is terrible. Your yin-tang, the space between your eyebrows, is dark. Your gaze is scattered. Your neck has cracks in it." What does a dark yin-tang mean in this context?
Well, in traditional Chinese medicine and face reading, the yin-tang is the palace of life. It reflects your immediate vital energy and fortune.
Okay.
A dark or shadowy yin-tang is universally a sign of impending severe disaster. It means your life force is eclipsed, and Jigong makes it terrifyingly specific.
He drops the hammer.
He drops the hammer and says, "Tonight, at the third watch, you will suffer the disaster of losing your head."
A beheading disaster. In his own home, surrounded by his servants, in the middle of a heavily guarded city. It's a terrifying escalation.
It goes from 0 to 100.
Yang goes from being a smug skeptic to a man facing his own imminent murder. He is horrified and demands proof. If I'm going to die tonight, what is the evidence? How is it going to happen?
And Jigong reveals the mechanism of the disaster. He says, "One of your own servants has colluded with outside assassins to murder you."
The betrayal is coming from inside the house. His protective walls are useless.
This sparks an immediate paranoid investigation. Yang lines up every single male servant in the estate.
All of them.
The text goes out of its way to specify there are 27 male servants. They're all brought out of bed to stand outside the study in the cold. Jigong slowly scans the crowd and points his finger at a single man, a 35 or 36-year-old servant with clean features.
The servant's name is Yang Liansheng, and the text notes a really important detail about him. He is a born and bred servant. He is the son of an old trusted servant of the family, and he himself is known throughout the household for being incredibly honest, diligent, and loyal.
Yes, his loyalty is fundamentally unquestioned by anyone. So when Jigong points at him and says, "You colluded with thieves to murder your master," the reaction isn't suspicion, it's immediate outrage.
Liansheng is furious. He drops the deference completely. He says, "Monk, you are stirring up trouble. I have received my master's grace since I was a child. How could I do such a thing? You are speaking without proof to frame a good man."
Yeah, you really feel for the guy.
Yeah, he's an honest, hard-working guy being accused of a capital crime by a weird, drunk monk who just showed up in the middle of the night.
So what does this all mean? How did Jigong prove it? This is where Jigong's true power is revealed. It's not just that he has mystical foresight. It's that he has an impossible granular awareness of reality.
Granular awareness. I like that.
He sees the invisible threads connecting events. Jigong tells Lianxing not to be angry, and then he meticulously reconstructs a seemingly meaningless, forgotten moment from earlier that day.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this interaction is the philosophical core of the entire text. Jigong says, let me ask you. This morning, when you were sweeping the front gate, a man looked inside.
Right.
He asked you, is this the residence of the former prefect of Chengdu, Lord Yang? And you just answered, yes. Is that right?
And Lianxing just blinks. He remembers it.
He didn't plot a murder. He didn't take a bribe. He didn't harbor dark, treacherous thoughts against his master.
Not at all.
He was just doing his chore, sweeping the gate, and he engaged in an utterly mundane, polite interaction with a passerby. He answered a simple question, honestly.
It's the butterfly effect rendered in classical literature.
Yeah.
By simply confirming the address, this honest servant inadvertently marked his master for death.
That is wild.
Jigong tells him, the man you answered is your master's blood enemy. Because you confirmed he lives here, the assassin is coming tonight to cut off your master's head. You didn't mean to, but you colluded with him. You did it.
The profound implication here is terrifying. It's about how incredibly fragile human life and social structures are.
Absolutely.
Yang Zation relies on his thick courtyard walls, his 27 loyal servants, his high political status, and his strict Confucian rules to keep him safe from the chaos of the world.
But it's not enough.
But all it takes to bring death right to his doorstep is a momentary lapse in operational security by a polite guy with a broom. It proves that Jigong isn't just relying on vague magic. He pays attention to the hyper-mundane details of daily life, making his supernatural foresight feel incredibly grounded.
Yang Zation goes from being a skeptic to utterly terrified. He realizes the monk is absolutely right. His rigid worldview offers no protection against an assassin coming over the wall at the third watch.
He panics.
The prefect of Chengdu is reduced to a frightened man asking a ragged monk what to do. And Jigong, who has been pulling all the strings and dominating the psychological space this whole time, calmly says, "Don't worry. That's why I brought the cops."
It's a brilliant pivot. We transition immediately from the philosophical and mystical back to the tactical and gritty. Jigong calls in the 4 constables who have been waiting out in the cold gatehouse this whole time.
Right. So we are back to the stakeout. Jigong deploys the squad again, this time with a lethal purpose.
Okay, what's the plan?
He puts Chai and Du in the shadows of the corridor in the east wing and Lei and Ma in the corridor of the west wing. The plan is simple. Wait in the dark until the third watch.
Right.
When the assassin drops into the courtyard, all 4 of them rush him simultaneously, surround him with their weapons, and take him alive. Yang Zation, desperate to survive, even promises a massive financial reward to the constables if they succeed.
It seems foolproof.
On paper, it is a perfect trap. 4 experienced armed law officers against 1 intruder in a confined space.
But this is where the narrative introduces a devastating subplot that completely unravels the tactical perfection. While they are hiding in the dark, waiting for a killer, the constables start engaging in office politics.
This is one of the most darkly comedic and frustrating twists in the text. Over in the West Wing, hidden in the shadows, Lei and Ma are whispering to each other.
Yeah.
Lei turns to Ma and starts complaining.
Yeah.
But he's not complaining about the cold or the fact that they're about to fight a trained killer. He's complaining about a bonus dispute.
I have to admit, when I first read this, I wanted to throw the book across the room. I mean, wait, walk me through this.
Okay.
You are on a literal life-or-death stakeout. You are waiting for a highly trained, lethal assassin to drop out of the sky and try to chop your heads off.
Right.
And instead of focusing on covering your partners, you are letting your resentment over a past bonus dictate your tactical strategy in the middle of an ambush.
The dispute is very specific.
Okay.
Lei is angry about a reward of 50 taels of silver that Chai and Du had received earlier for a previous part of the investigation.
Okay.
A reward they did not share with Lei and Ma.
But see, I see that differently. You're painting Lei and Ma as these incredibly petty, toxic villains who are willing to let their coworkers die over office jealousy.
Well, they kind of are.
But if we look at the historical economics of this era, aren't they just rational actors in a totally broken system?
That is an excellent pushback, and you are entirely correct to highlight the systemic issue. To understand their behavior, we have to look at the reality of the Yamen runners, the constables of the Qing and Ming eras.
How were they treated?
They were not highly paid, respected officials like Prefect Zhao. They occupied a very low social stratum. In fact, Many were legally barred from taking the civil service exams.
Oh, wow.
Crucially, they were often unpaid or barely paid by the state. They relied entirely on bounties, rewards, and customary fees,
Customary fees, like bribes.
which were essentially state-sanctioned bribes or extortion just to feed their families.
So it's basically a lethally dangerous gig economy. If you don't get the bounty, you don't eat.
Exactly. 50 taels of silver was a massive amount of money. It could support a family of 4 for over a year. For Chai and Du to hoard that reward was a significant economic blow to Lei and Ma.
So it's not just a petty grudge.
It wasn't just petty workplace jealousy. It was a matter of basic survival and livelihood. The system pitted them against each other by design. So Lei proposes a plot to Ma.
And the plot is incredibly cynical. Lei whispers, when the thief arrives, Chai and Du will attack from the east wing. But we won't move.
Right.
We will hold back in the west wing. If they catch him easily, fine, they get the credit. But if they start losing, if they get exhausted and beat up by this guy, we wait until the very last second. Then we swoop in, take down the tired assassin, and claim the entire new reward from Lord Yang for ourselves. We don't split it.
And Ma just nods and says, makes sense, let's do it.
It's ruthless.
What's fascinating here is the stark structural juxtaposition the author has created. Think about the geography of the house.
Okay.
Inside the beautifully lit, high-status north room, the masters, Yang and Zhao, are discussing deep philosophical matters, decorum, and the nature of the cosmos.
Right.
Outside, in the cold, dark courtyard, the working-class constables are engaged in a gritty, zero-sum game of economic survival and betrayal.
It adds such a layer of realism right before the magical climax. You realize that human institutions, whether it's the high-minded government officials or the gritty police force, are fundamentally flawed.
Completely flawed.
The officials are blinded by protocol, and the cops are corrupted by poverty.
And that systemic flaw is about to be exposed violently. Because time passes, the tension builds, the courtyard is dead silent, and then the third watch hits.
The witching hour. Chai and Du are over in the East Wing, actually starting to wonder if Jigong's math was wrong. They're thinking maybe the thief isn't coming, maybe the monk really is a fraud.
Right.
And just as they think that, there's a sharp crack. A pathfinding stone hits the courtyard floor.
A classic trope of the nocturnal martial arts assassin, the Wuxia warrior, throwing a heavy stone onto the tiles to test for traps, guard dogs, or tripwires before committing to the jump.
Immediately following the sound of the stone, a massive figure drops from the roof like a shadow. The text says he is over 8 feet tall, dressed entirely in tight-fitting night stocking clothes, with a massive broadsword strapped to his arm.
Very intimidating.
He lands lightly in the courtyard, and Chai and Du don't hesitate. They burst from cover, yelling the classic cop line, "Don't run! You've left the road to heaven and barged into the gates of hell!" And they charge him with their weapons.
But the assassin doesn't run. He's entirely unbothered by the ambush. He lets out a cold laugh and yells out to the house, "Good, Yang Zation! You have preparations, but sooner or later your second granduncle will take your head." He draws his broadsword, and the fight begins.
And it goes terribly for the cops almost immediately. We get a very specific, tactical explanation for why they are losing this fight. It's not just that the thief is a skilled martial artist.
No, it's more than that.
There's a fundamental asymmetry in their goals and their hardware.
Yes. The rules of engagement are entirely skewed. The assassin is fighting to kill. He has a broadsword, a dao, which is a heavy, single-edged weapon designed for sweeping, lethal cuts. He is swinging for their necks.
Right.
But Chai and Du are fighting to apprehend. They are armed with iron rulers, tichi. These are essentially heavy, unsharpened iron batons designed to parry blades and strike non-lethal blows to joints or muscles.
Right. The text explicitly says that when Chai and Du find an opening to strike a vital spot on the thief, they have to pull their punches.
Exactly.
They don't dare strike too hard because if they kill him, they lose their only lead on the stolen government artifacts. The Prime Minister wants his jade bracelet back, not a dead body. They need him alive for interrogation.
It is the eternal dilemma of law enforcement in these narratives, magnified by the weapon mismatch. The bad guy operates without constraints and with lethal force, while the good guys are bound by the necessity of the legal process and non-lethal tools.
So Chai and Du are sweating, they're exhausted, they're desperately carrying these lethal sword swings with their iron batons. And meanwhile, over in the West Wing, Lei and Ma are just watching.
Doing nothing.
They're sticking to their selfish, toxic plan. They watch their brothers in arms getting pushed to the brink of death, and they don't move a single muscle.
It perfectly illustrates the failure of the human systems we discussed earlier.
How so?
The legal system demands the thief be taken alive, putting the constables at a severe tactical disadvantage. The economic system of the Yamen creates the bitter resentment that stops Lei and Ma from helping.
Right.
Human effort, corrupted by greed and constrained by bureaucratic rules, is completely breaking down in this courtyard. Chai and Du are going to die because the system is broken.
Chai realizes he's about to be cut down. He's at his physical limit, so he abandons the police work entirely. He stops trying to be a cop and just screams for divine intervention.
He has no other choice.
He yells toward the north room, "Jigong, get out here! We can't hold him!"
And here's the climax of the episode. Jigong is safely inside the north room. He hears the desperate plea from the courtyard, and he simply replies, calmly, "I'm coming out."
He pushes open the doors and steps out onto the steps. The massive 8-foot-tall assassin, who has just been toying with two hardened cops, sees this eccentric, ragged monk step into the moonlight.
And the assassin instantly panics.
He does. He says, "I'll spare you today. We'll meet again." And he tries to use his incredible martial arts skills, his Jigong, to leap up onto the roof and escape into the night.
The assassin recognizes instinctively that the rules of reality have just changed. He can beat men with iron rulers. He cannot beat the supernatural.
And this is where the narrative does something incredibly jarring with its pacing. We just had this intense, sweaty, beautifully choreographed martial arts duel, complete with workplace betrayal and high-stakes survival.
Right.
And how does Jigong resolve it? Does he engage in a magical kung fu battle? Does he summon a weapon of light? No. He just points his finger at the fleeing thief.
He points his finger, locks onto the target, and chants a 6-syllable true mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Chilin He.
And that's it. It's over. Instantly, the massive, terrifying thief just rolls off the roof and falls flat into the courtyard, completely paralyzed. Chai and Du run over, strip him of his sword, and tie him up like a sack of potatoes. It's like watching a grueling 12-round heavyweight boxing match that ends abruptly because a wizard in the front row stood up and cast a sleep spell on the champion. It's almost anticlimactic.
It is anticlimactic. But that is not a flaw in the writing. It is a deliberate thematic statement by the author. Let's look at the mantra itself.
Okay, break it down.
Om Mani Padme Hum is the most famous mantra in Buddhism, associated with Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion. By invoking this and adding the Taoist command Chilling He, which means by order, strike,
Right.
Jigong is bringing the ultimate absolute weight of divine cosmic law crashing down on this petty human conflict.
But doesn't that make the whole fight pointless? If he could just do that, why let them fight at all?
Because the failure is the point. This resolution is the ultimate statement on the limitations of the mundane world. We spent the entire time watching human beings try and fail.
That's true.
The servants failed out of cowardice. Yang Zexin failed out of rigid arrogance and blind adherence to rules. The constables failed out of systemic greed and tactical constraints. Human effort, in all its forms, was proven insufficient.
Wow. Yeah, when you lay it out like that, every single mundane character completely botched their job in their own unique way.
Exactly. The anti-climax of the mantra shows that when human systems break down entirely, only an intervening higher moral and spiritual force, represented by Jigong, can restore order.
Right.
It doesn't need to be a long, drawn-out magical battle because the divine isn't struggling against the mundane. It simply overrides it. The universe says stop, and the assassin stops.
The divine off switch, it really puts all of their petty squabbles into perspective. So the constables tie this massive assassin up and drag him into the beautifully appointed north room to face Yang Zexin.
Who is probably still terrified.
Oh, absolutely. Yang, who has just had his entire rigid worldview dismantled and his life saved within the span of a few hours, looks at this giant killer and says, "We have no enmity. Why are you trying to assassinate me? What is your name?"
And the thief's reaction provides our perfect cliffhanger. He sits there on the floor, tied up, and just stares in shock at what just happened to him. Then he sighs and says, "Hateful, hateful, I have nothing else to say. It is just fate."
He literally blames destiny. He doesn't blame the cops for ambushing him. He doesn't blame his lack of skill. He blames the fundamental fabric of the universe.
He recognizes the hand of fate. He realizes that his human agency, his martial arts skills, and his quest for revenge were ultimately overruled by a higher power mediated by Jigong.
But Yang presses him.
Yes, threatening legal torture if he doesn't explain the specific grudge. And the thief finally breaks. He says, "Don't use torture, I'll speak." And he begins to unravel the mystery of this blood feud.
And the text literally ends with the narrator stepping in to say, if you want to know the details of this feud, listen to the next chapter. It leaves us desperately waiting for the resolution.
It is the quintessential mechanism of the serialized vernacular novel.